Hello everybody, Ben Woodruff here with another falconry video. Today's video I want to talk about Cooper's hawks and differences between them and ask for your input as well. One of the things that I am loving and appreciating more and more about this channel is that it allows for a broad reach. Falconers in different regions of a country or all over the world. And I think that's a great tool for gathering information for all of us. So when it comes to accipiters are your true hawks, right? Forest dwellers, short rounded wings, long tail. The northern goshawk arguably being the most iconic member of the accipiter clade. But you know, when it comes to accipiters, we don't normally talk about subspecies. We usually don't. For example, of the northern goshawk, you've got the North American northern goshawk that is smaller than a lot of the other northern goshawks. It has very fine barring on the chest, extremely fine barring as an adult, and blood red eyes. Now, by comparison, most of your European and Finnish goshawks, old world northern goshawks, remember this is the same species, but these are different subspecies, and they will have much thicker bars on the chest as an adult and have orange eyes or yellow eyes as an adult. Same species, they can and will cross if you put them together, but they're different subspecies. We don't normally put a lot of emphasis on that when it comes to accipiters. We do a little bit with goshawks as they are more prolifically flown in the sport of falconry. And of course, the biggest example is the Eastern Siberian northern goshawk, which is white, various shades of white. And that's such a striking difference. We're like, whoa, hey, we take note of that. And so we'll kind of say, well, this is a North American goshawk, this is a Finnish goshawk, this is a European goshawk, and so on. But you know what? That's only a little bit compared to what we do with other birds. Peregrine falcons have radically different subspecies that are hugely different in size. For example, this is both in my country, my neck of the woods. We've got the Peale's peregrine falcon, which is the largest of the peregrines. It's very thick bars, very monochromatic compared to other peregrines, very dark, large, and crossing the same paths, we have the Anatom peregrine, which is much smaller, and as an adult, those bars are much finer, and the chest is incredibly red. Now, we go on and on about that. These subspecies, it's this subspecies, it's black Shaheen peregrine, a red-naped Shaheen peregrine, a Peale's peregrine. We don't do that with accipiters. And the example I'm giving and wanting to ask about are Cooper's hawks. I was thinking about this the other day. I live in northern Utah, but I go all over northern Utah, southern Utah, multiple different states around, exploring and having a great old time. I love to explore and see the world. In my area, what I have seen personally is our Cooper's hawks usually are, in the first year, I'm talking about first year Cooper's hawks, they normally, up here by the crop and on the chest, the stripes that you have, the streaks, are pretty wide. They're pretty thick. And on the sides, I don't really have a good picture of this, but on the sides, this is still part of the belly feathers, but the parts that overlap the legs, they have thick bars already that will be all over the bird as an adult. Okay, that seems to be the case. Now, from my state, from northern Utah, once you're getting into Idaho and Cooper's hawks that have migrated south into, this time of year where you have, some coming from as far away as Canada, coming down, seem to be bigger. Their chest, those streaks on their crop and on their belly are thin, super thin. Those streaks are very, very thin. And the side flanks I told you about of the belly feathers that overlap usually don't have those thick bars, or if they do, they're very diminished. Now, both of them, the northern and southern, get red chests as an adult, but what I've seen is a lot of my Utah birds will have extremely dense orangish red, very thick, where I've seen with a lot of northern birds and a lot of eastern birds as an adult, the red bars themselves are thinner, and there's a lot of white, there is on my Utah adults too, but the white is more pronounced, so it looks like a red and white chest, where Utah adult birds, it seems, it's a reddish-orange chest, and if you look closer, like, yeah, there is white, but the overlapping orange is making it disappear. I've also known from a very credible source, a falconer that I have the highest respect for, and he does a lot of trapping for the government and all around the country, banding and different things, doing surveys. And he tells me that the eastern Cooper's hawks are much larger than our western birds, and that they are far more amicable and pleasant to work with. They have a nicer disposition, easier to train. So it got me thinking about it. And we just normally, when we're talking about Cooper's hawks are a North American bird all the way barely into Central America. You're going like Canada all the way to Guatemala. So that's a lot of range there, right? It's a forest bird, but you've got hardwood forest, deciduous forest. You've got dense conifer forests. You have high elevation, low elevation, desert canyons, mountain canyons. There's a lot of range in there. Cold temperatures, scorching temperatures. Then they can be found, in any of those areas. So we don't never, ever that I hear among the falconry community, hear people talking about those differences. And we don't think of them as a different subspecies, even if they're not a subspecies. I don't even hear people talking about regionally different color morphs. Now, I might be wrong in my personal observations, but it got me thinking. I'm one person with a lot of experience of observation. I'd rather pool in and hear what other people have to say. So I would love if you could, in the comments, let me know what you've seen, what you've heard. I wish we had a way to put photos in there. But again, what I'd like to do is... that makes me wonder. Let me throw this out there too. How would you feel if I did a Facebook page for this channel that could then be, that anybody wanted could put, for example, on this sort of thing? It's like, hey, we're doing this video, here's a link to it, and if you want to respond and whether you have photos, you can. That could be kind of a good educational tool for people to compile and compare and contrast information. Let me know what you think about that idea. But let me know down in the comments what you have seen in your area. What are the Cooper's hawks like? What do they usually weigh? Do they have a very thick bars and streaks on their chest as a first year? Or are they thin? Are they thick? The colors on the chest. As an adult, are they red or do you see a lot of white? On the shoulders, a first-year bird has little white spots. Are those super big, or are they super little, or almost non-existent on the scapular feathers of a first-year Cooper's hawk? Let me know what you've seen, and I'd love to compare and contrast. And you know what? Maybe I will do a follow-up video once we get some comments on this, just kind of saying, all right, I'm going to return and report and say, here's what the responses were, and share that information. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's more of just a curiosity. Again, I think Cooper's hawks are very neglected when it comes to thinking beyond just, I tried one out, had fun, maybe it was too aggressive or intense for me, moved on. But we don't really think about them as much regionally as a wild species. So give me your information, let me know what you think, and as always, happy hawking.